Hi there, this is Jim the Keys Bartender coming to you for an extra episode on a Saturday, a rare Saturday I have off. I was out with my family today. I had a beautiful breakfast with my wife as we went to pick up our daughter from a sleepover. And on the way back, I received a phone call that one of our good friends and patrons from the Catch restaurant passed away, Joe, over the night. It was shocking because this happened either early this morning or late last night, and he passed away in his sleep. And I did notice when I was talking to my coworker that he wasn't come in the restaurant yesterday, and then we find out the next day that he passed away. And then, I reflected upon that, and I have, when I mourn, I just, the way I do it, I have sentiment for the people that were closest to the person, and I send condolences, and I try to tell them, the thoughtful things, kind things that I remember, the kind thoughts I had of this person. But on the way back, and then I move ahead. My father called, and my father lives in Delaware, and he's calling me and asked if I want any of these nostalgia items that my grandmother used to own. One was, she used to collect Hummel figurines, and that was big in the 1950s through the I guess maybe 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And these little figurines they sold for, from $25 to $100, and they were collector items. People used to get whole sets, and there were little German figurines that depicted small children in early 20th century garb, I guess it is. And people would have these little display cases, and they would just have these figurines. I think they have, people have their own, they have Yadro figurines and things like that. My grandmother had these, it looks like Jell-O molds that were made of Hummel figurines. And my father asked if I wanted to get that. Did I want that? Did I want anything from it? And he thought I might want that. And I told my dad, no, I don't want that. And it doesn't mean that I don't have fond memories of grandmother. I just said to my father, I said, hey, Dad, if you what I would like is if there's any pictures, letters, correspondences they had, anything, and it doesn't have to be original. You can send me a scanned one. That's more something I could reflect on of the person that I remember, my grandmother. And I was thinking about, and then it makes me think about everyone else that I had known and passed on, and that, I don't really need an object to make me remember them and think of them. I know some people like to have it, and there's nothing wrong with that. They like to have something that belonged to some dear friend or relative, and they could just look at it and make them remember it. Myself, I'd rather have something written or visual, and it's easier for me to do that. I have people have a different way of remembering things and memorializing people, and that's important to me. And sometimes it's off-putting if someone says, hey, listen, I'd like to give you something that belongs to them, and I say, I'm not a real big collector of things. I remember it's just one of those things when people get me a knick-knack or something. I'm not a big collector of those things. They go in a drawer or a box. I may put up, if you had, if it's a really nice photo or picture, I may put that up. That's more something for that. And it sounds kind of craven or callous for me to reject that. And to be talking about it after someone I knew passed away may seem kind of callous or cold, but I choose to just try to remember, immediately after, instead of, there's this sadness of missing someone that's gone away, but there's also the positive things that you can remember, the positive things are part, because that sadness and loss doesn't really bring you anything. And if the person that had gone on or passed leaves you with something you reflect on that makes you smile, makes you happy, lightens your day, that's probably much more a better way to remember those things. And it's a beautiful day here in the Keys. There's never a really good time to receive bad news of someone's passing. But I reflected right when I had an opportunity after picking up my daughter and arriving home. I just thought I might sit down and reflect on all the nice things that I had. When I spoke to Joe, and how many times we laugh over things, and how much of a nice guy he was. So this is the way I choose to remember people. I don't need a thing, because the thing is the history we had or the conversations we had and things like that. And it sounds a little morbid, but there's also, if you can reflect on all the people that touched you, that's our legacy we really leave behind. It's not necessarily has to be a thing. It doesn't have to something that has that takes up physical space. It could take up space in your mind, and it could be a good thing and something you could pass on to someone, and that's their true legacy. So I know it's a little sad thing, but that's what we have today. We only have today, and we got to live it the best way we can. So this is Jim the Keys Bartender, saying all goodbye. Try to make a good day out of it. Bye.